I call the honourable member for Robertson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Minister for the Environment. I refer to this email from the owners of Sydney Ice Arena and Erina Ice Arena in my electorate of Robertson, who state that the lifting of the carbon tax saved the business from imminent closure and, as a consequence, saved the jobs of our many staff. Will the minister outline what savings have been passed on to families and businesses in New South Wales since the government scrapped the world's biggest carbon tax, and are there any threats to these savings?
I call the honourable Minister for the Environment.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I'm delighted to receive this question from the member for Robertson, who voted to abolish the carbon tax, unlike every member of the opposition who voted to keep the carbon tax. The member for Robertson, though, is not just a legislator, she's also a great champion for small business. And this is what the proprietors of the Sydney and Erina Ice Arenas in her electorate
There'll be silence
said,
on my left, including
and
the
I
member
quote,
for Chifley.
"In the 2-year period during which the carbon tax operated, we were invoiced over $158,000 in carbon tax charges. Our business had to borrow the money to pay for the carbon tax and will be paying for interest on this for years to come." But theirs was an experience felt right across New South Wales and Australia. In New South Wales alone, the electricity bills over the 2 years of the carbon tax amounted to $2 billion. $2 billion in higher electricity prices. For firms, what we saw when it was abolished was a reduction of up to 9% in their electricity prices. For households, a reduction of up to 10%. And to go back to what the proprietors said in their email to the member for Robertson, and again I quote, "I implore you to fight against any reintroduction of a tax, levy or carbon trading scheme which will increase our electricity charges again." And that brings us to the question of a threat. There is a plan. There is a plan to bring back a massive new electricity tax. And it's not ours, but it is theirs. And no good question time is complete without a quote from the great wordsmith, the member for Fraser. And the member for Fraser, as we know, a prolific author, recently had an article in The Australian about the carbon tax. And what was it the member for Fraser said? And I quote the headline from the 27th of January of this year, "Pining for the good old carbon tax" by Andrew Lee. Pining for the good old carbon tax. He didn't just plan, he wasn't even yearning, he was pining. It's the Norwegian blue of public policy.
The member for Fraser will leave under 94A.
Their plans for the carbon tax, this year we will be focusing on questions for Bill. We want to know how much electricity prices will increase. When will you release your policy? How will the effect operate on individual families? What will be the cost? Because as we know, if it affects small businesses, it can have a real and profound impact. So this year, it's questions for Bill, and it's time for you to tell us how much are you going to slug families and businesses in higher electricity prices.